The secret to your life is hidden in your daily routine. What's up, guys? Dr. Andrew Fix back for another episode here on The Code. I really appreciate you tuning in to listen to this podcast. However you're streaming this, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. Really appreciate your time. And hopefully you pull something valuable out of this episode. A few team members and I at Physio Room were having a meeting 2 weeks ago. And the topic came up about daily habits and how daily habits stacked on top of one another, whether for the good or for the bad, ultimately dictate where your future self is going to be. Daily habits dictate the outcome. It doesn't matter if those are, things related to fitness. You're going to the gym, you are tracking your food, you're measuring things out, you're eating a certain way, you're tracking your fitness, and you are logging your workouts. It doesn't matter if these are work-related things. This could be a meeting or a thing that you need to do every single day for your job, and you track and make sure that you're getting that done. Or it could be other things. It could be choosing to stay on the couch and watch Netflix instead of getting up and going for that walk. It could be choosing to have one more slice of cake instead of, opting for the fruit-based dessert instead. It could be, choosing not to pick up the phone and call that friend that you've been missing for a while and reconnecting with them. And instead choosing to, just keep to yourself, even though you really wish that conversation would rekindle and, you could reconnect with that person. We've talked a lot of times on this podcast about setting goals. And while I completely agree that having goals is extremely important, if you don't know where you're going, how in the world are you going to get there, right? If the pilot doesn't know where they're flying to, the plane's not going to make it to where they're intending to go. And if they do make it, it's going to be an extremely roundabout way, and it could have been a lot more efficient if they just would have set that goal first, set that destination first. But while we need goals to target us, to create our trajectory of where we're going, we need those daily habits to be stacked one after the other in order to actually get there. The goal is not how you get there. It's what we call leading indicators, right? It's these small micro habits every single day. Some of them are choices. Some of them can be you're setting your environment up for success. But those are the things that are going to allow us to reach where we want to go. So we're having that conversation a few weeks ago, and we talk about, the secret to your future self lies in your daily routine. And one of our team members said, if you show me your calendar, I'll show you where your priorities are. And then after we look at that, if we look at your bank account, then we take those two things together and we'll really be able to tell what are each person's priorities. If we compare their calendar and their bank account, where are they spending their time, where they're spending their money, two things that are very important to people, and we'll tell you what your priorities are. So that's one of the questions I want to leave you guys with this short episode today is, where are your priorities? If you were to make a list of the top 5 things that you would say your priorities are in terms of, your life, who you spend your time with, where you spend your time, what you're doing, that might be, for example, number 1, spending time with kids. That might be number 2, getting 7.5 hours of sleep a night. That might be number 3, exercising 4 times a week. These might be things that are priorities of yours that are important to you. But does your calendar say that? Does your calendar match what you would say your priorities are? Does your calendar match what you want your priorities to be? And if not, how can we bring those two things into alignment? How can we make sure you're scheduling the time to do the things that you say are important to you? Because if they're important to you, they deserve a slot, right? They deserve a slot on your calendar. They deserve to reserve space on your schedule, in your mind, so that they get done if they're actually important to you. And it doesn't matter what's important to other people necessarily. It matters what's important to you. And then the bank account side of things. What does your bank account say? What does your credit card statement say? Where are you spending your hard-earned money? However you're earning that money, where are you spending it? What are you spending it on? Who are you spending it with? If somebody has a goal from a fitness perspective to gain weight, gain muscle, to lose weight and lose body fat, but they look at their credit card and they just see time after time, day after day, they are just eating out, eating out, eating out. Those two things are going to be really hard, and they're going to counteract with one another. It's going to be really hard to achieve your fitness goals if you're not doing the lion's share of preparing the food, unless you know who's preparing that and how it's being prepared, because you need to make sure you're hitting your protein. You need to make sure you're hitting your proper macronutrients, calories. And then in order to feel good, you need to make sure you're getting good ingredients and the micronutrients in that food. So where are you spending your time? And where are you spending your money? And how do those things match up or mesh with what you say your priorities are? And that's what I want to leave you guys with today. What is the future self that you are looking or hoping to become? And how can you set up your daily tasks and your daily habits to help you get there in the most efficient way possible? Again, you guys, Dr. Andrew Fix here on The Code. As I said at the beginning, I really appreciate you tuning in to listen to this episode. And if you think this resonates with you, and you can think of somebody else that this episode might strike a chord with, I would really appreciate you sharing that. Sharing this conversation, passing on this podcast is the number one way that we can get this out to more and more people, get more eyes and ears, helping us all optimize our health and our human performance. I hope to catch you guys on the next episode of The Code. We'll see you later.